Well, I'm all about helping people discover who they are, but I think Sean's done a pretty good job of getting you started on that. So I now know more about some of you in this room than perhaps I wanted to. So let me start by asking you a question. If you were to build a house, would you put the roof on first? No? Good answer. So I'd like to think that you would start with the foundations. And Dewi's talked about the foundations of your business. Now, most business owners, the ones that are not in this room today, start with their goals first. And they set goals based on what they think they should do or what the next person is doing, without any alignment to their values. Your values underpin everything that has been spoken about today. How you market, your purpose, your reputation, and your vision. You cannot get these wrong. Now, sometimes people think you can just pick them out of thin air and go, oh, I'll have that one. Honesty is a good one to have, and ethical and integrity, they will be my values. It doesn't really work like that. They are already inside of you. Your values are your intuition made conscious. So at some part of you, you already know what they are. So can I invite you all to stand up, please? I'd like you to close your eyes and take a deep breath in, and out is helpful too. And now imagine yourself firmly rooted to the ground, that you are rock solid, rooted to the ground. That is your foundation. And ask yourself, what is it that I stand for? What would I not compromise on? What is it the truth of who I am and what my business is about? What is most important to you? Okay, please take a seat. And just trust that whatever has started to emerge is giving you a clue to what your values may be. And I say maybe because it's not just an easy thing to do. You've got to live with it and go out there in the real world and test it out, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And I can already see some of you are making notes as to what came up. Fantastic. Because when I first discovered my values, I had a bit of a wake-up call. I think it was probably a midlife crisis, actually, that was going on, although I prefer to call it a soul awakening. But I was working in the City of London, not too far from here, at London Bridge, and I was working for a banking software company. And I'd spent the majority of my career in banking. I left 9 years ago. I'm now working on helping them put it right. It's a big job. There's a big market opportunity out there. And I remember this particular day, I was at a chiropractic studio, Artie, not far from Kensington Park, it was near Gloucester Road, and I'm lying there, face down on a couch, getting myself put back into position for the umpteenth time. And she asked me a question. She said, "Jo, what is it you want from your life? What is most important to you?" And have you ever been asked a question at the right time that's stopped you in your tracks by somebody else? And as I'm lying there, thinking, ouch, 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 now more ouch, I just said, "To be happy." She said, "Well, as nice as it is to see you, it's getting a bit too regular. You shouldn't be here every week." And she made me think. Now, I was working. I would be at my desk at 7 in the morning. I managed global training teams from the US right across to Asia and everywhere in between. So I would be in very, very early, and I'd probably be the last one there at 8 or 9 o'clock at night as well. And that day, I walked out of the chiropractor's studio, and instead of turning left to Gloucester Road tube station, I went right. And I saw, at the end of the road, Kensington Park. Now, I think it had always been there, but I'd never noticed it before, because I was so stuck in what it was that I was doing. So I went and sat in Kensington Park. And it was a March day. It was March 2004. And there was couples walking hand in hand in love, and people walking their dogs, and the flowers were growing, and the birds were tweeting. And I sat there for about 2 hours, thinking, well, what is it that I want? Now, something intuitively came up for me, and that was the words to become a professional coach. Now, I'd never really thought about that consciously before. And what I know now is that when you do make your values conscious, it enables you to make much better choices in your business. And I thought, well, where did that come from? So I went back to the office, picked up my laptop, and went home and started Googling, where can I study to become a professional coach? Now, most of my career had been in the banking industry within people development. So I knew I enjoyed helping people. 5 days later, Sunday afternoon, I'm at an open day in Mayfair, and I'm signing up to start my training as a professional coach. Now, it was during the first few weeks of that training that I discovered my values. And when I discovered not only what my values were, but what they meant to me, and there's also a priority order that's very important, everything fell into place. Because I had taken a choice to become a global training manager based on my number 5 value of freedom. And I thought freedom was the most important thing to me. Now, I wasn't taking the job, but I thought, great, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to travel the world, I'm going to get to go and meet new people, I'm going to get to see new places. The reality of it was, I was on and off aeroplanes, in and out hotels, and exhausted all the time, hence being at the chiropractor. How many people in business thinks freedom's important, just by show of hands? How many people have freedom in their business? That's fantastic. It's about half the room. So those of you that haven't, go and speak to the others if you think it's important. But what I realized I'd done, when I started this job, it was brilliant. I'd never traveled when I was younger. So I was getting to go to fantastic places that I'd never been to before. Singapore, Malaysia, Dubai, California. It was brilliant. But I realized that my values that came above freedom, my number 1 value is energy. I was at the chiropractors all the time. I was exhausted. I was ill all the time. So that wasn't in place. Very, very high value for me is truth. When I started, this software was cutting edge. And I would stand up at the front of the room and I'd go, this is just brilliant. And then I'd have to say, don't worry, it will work when it's live. So that wasn't in place. Love. Well, wasn't really getting to see my family and friends. And relationship in my life was non-existent. I'm pleased to say that's changed now. And connection. Well, I was getting some connection with people. I love meeting people. I love helping people. So a little bit of that was there. But freedom was at number 5. And I had compromised myself by taking a role based on a value that was not the most important to me, still important. And that's why I got to this position where I'd put my roof on first. I decided I wanted this job as a global training manager to travel the world without looking at what underpinned it. And if we don't look at that, at some point, it will collapse and you will collapse. Because your business is a reflection of who you are. So before we look at our business values, we need to get a good sense of self. Because your core values are at the heart of every decision that you ever make, every relationship you encounter, and every goal you achieve, whether you are consciously aware of it or not. So my role is to now help you become conscious of what your values might be. When I discovered mine, I put plans in place to leave that job. And by the end of the year, I had engineered my redundancy after getting it refused twice. I kept going and I kept going. So what's important? It is an inside-out job. Discovery of who you are and what you stand for then enables you to look at the team around you. And even if you've not got a physical team, you might just be you in your business, the people you work with, the people who do your marketing, your PR, your websites. And here's the man who does my website here. Extremely good values, keeps me very calm when things are changing. Organizational values. So what do you stand for? By understanding yourself, you can ask better questions of the people that you work with. Now, when I first found out what Derry's values were, as Derry mentioned, we already had an alignment. We just knew it. But I said, you've got to come and do my values day. I want to find out what your values are. And I nearly stopped in my tracks. I've never met anybody who's had the same top 5 values as me, ever. Now, we have different ways that we meet them, because he's a bit crazy, and he goes up mountains and across deserts. I just ski down them. So we might meet them in different ways, but in business, there's a fundamental core of what those values mean to us. So that enables us better to work together. And then you get a sense of shared values. So knowing who you are, what you stand for, enables you to find out more about what your team stand for. You can then look at your organizational values. And once you've got a sense of shared values, you create trust. Now, as I've already mentioned, my background is in banking. And I have been fortunate or unfortunate, whichever way you want to look at it, to have quite a few of the banks as my clients. Now, we all know that trust broke down in the banking industry. I believe that the values was a big part of it. Because you look at any of the bank's values, and they had words in them such as customer satisfaction, the financial well-being of our customers. Did they live those? Your values are not marketing slogans. Your marketing is built from them, yes, because it's who you stand for, but they are not marketing slogans. And this is what a lot of people do wrong. They pull out thinking, oh, that's what I aspire to be. I'll have that as my values statement. We've already heard Steve Jobs mentioned this morning. And Derry talked about his purpose. Do you know when Steve Jobs was fired from Apple in 1987? He did a lot of thinking before he was rehired 10 years later. What was the first thing that he did when he was rehired in 1997? Guess what it's to do with? He looked at the values. He looked at Apple's core values. Pardon the pun. I'll be at stand-up with you, Richard. And he got the values out. And he rebuilt Apple based on its values. Did Apple become an overnight success in 97, 98? No, it didn't. It was quite a few years later. And really getting your business built on values allows that sustainable success. So I have a 3-step process for this, because I like to make it simple. And if I can get you to discover some of yours today, then that will be a great takeaway. To actually live in alignment with them is up to you. Now, just to caveat this, I normally work with intimate groups over a 1-day process, or individuals over 2 coaching sessions with work in between. I just want to mention that, because if you don't get all your values out right now, it's okay. So I'm going to help you discover what they are, and hopefully that process has started. Define what they mean to you, and then look at how you implement them, because they show up everywhere. Already the things you've started to find out about people by asking questions. I asked you the question when you stood up, what's important to you? So 3 high-level questions to find out what your values are. What's important to you? Somebody like to shout something out? Compassion. Thank you. Integrity, joy, adventure, trust, inspiring. So you're a pretty advanced bunch in here, because they're sounding like these words could actually be values already. Talk to me about something that's important in your business. Quality. What else? Sorry? Care, trust, service, value, profit. Sorry? Retention. So whatever it is you're saying has resonated with you at some level. Now, you might have heard somebody else say something around the room and think, what on earth do they mean by caring or retention? Doesn't mean anything to me. Great, it's not one of your values. But it is for the person that said it. And you can go even higher than that. What's important? It's important that I give good customer service. What does that give you? So what that might give you is a sense of satisfaction or value. So what it is that's important to you. And guess what? As business owners, are we meant to enjoy what we do? Do we enjoy what we do? So would that be a really good... Not always. There are not always. But ask yourself the question, what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy the most about your business? And then ask what that gives you. I absolutely enjoy working with people. What does that give me? It gives me connection. It gives me the ability to make a positive difference. It gives me the ability to contribute. Oh, do you think they might be some of my business values? It also allows you to make the conscious choices of what to say yes and what to say no to. Now, we've already heard in the room that we've got different values. So it's really important that you define what they mean to you. So let's just do a quick check on this. Peter this morning talked about honesty was important to him in business. Who else thinks honesty is important? Okay. If you don't, I need you to just lie about it for 2 minutes while we do this exercise. Just get a pen and a piece of paper, and I'd like you to write down 4 words that honesty means to you. So 4 independent words. So it means A and B and C and D. I'm not going to give you any words because then they'll be mine, not yours. So what does honesty mean to you? Okay, when you've got 4 words, can you put your hand up? And keep it up if you'd like to share it with the rest of the room. Come on! Back up. Marina.
So honesty means
Truth, connection, trust, and freedom. Has anybody got the exact same 4 words as Marina? No? Okay. Somebody from this side of the room? Yes, Haroon.
Transparency, karma, ethical and authentic.
Transparency, karma, ethical and authenticity. Anybody got the same 4 as Haroon? No? Okay, one more. Someone in the middle. Come on, there was a hand up here somewhere. Yes. Reliability and clear communication. Has anybody else got reliability and clear communication? One word, so many different meanings. Anybody in this room ever had a joint venture fail? I have. you think it might have been a miscommunication or a misunderstanding of values? If people are not in line with your values, you might get to the point where you're parting company with somebody and you say, well, look, we started off by saying honesty was important to us. And then you find out the definition of what that meant to them, and it was something completely different to what you'd interpreted. So when you're in communication with other people, if you just take one thing away, take the question, what does that mean to you? Because it will save you a whole lot of time and trouble later down the line. So a lot of people don't ask that question. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I can pick one again, but my partner's sat in the front room, but we had a great discussion a couple of years into our relationship with the quality time thing. What does quality time mean to you? Changes everything, doesn't it, Dave? So this is quality time for you, honey, isn't it? In this room? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Slightly different for me. This is a great time, but it's not quality time. So, so try that one out. So what does that mean to you? You can bring it into your conversations and then implement. You can implement your values into the decisions that you make. So how you make decisions, the relationships you build. Know yourself, know other people. Derry talks about firing clients based on this. I prefer to withdraw my services because that fits better with me. And I have recently withdrawn my services. My business values are all about discovery, truth, and getting to the heart of the organization. If you don't want me to do that, or you're not going to go with that, I can't work with you. And it's very, very powerful saying no, because when you say no to something, or you let go of somebody that is not in line with your values, you will attract somebody that is. And another great way, while we're talking about firing clients and looking at the things that don't work, another way to really, if you're sitting in the room now still thinking, I really have no idea what my values are, ask yourself the question, what absolutely pees you off? What annoys you? What frustrates you? I bet you've all got something now, haven't you? Who'd like to share? Yes, Dave. So it annoys you if people are not on time. Okay. So the opposite of not being on time is being punctual. Yep. Okay. So look at what annoys you. What else? Yes. People who are brash. So what is the opposite of people who are brash to you, sir?
Modest, I guess.
Modest. Okay, so modest, self-effacing. So you might want to kind of see if that is a value for you. So whatever it is that absolutely pees you off, really annoys you, the opposite is likely to be a value. But notice that I didn't put my interpretation of the opposite of brash on. Because I could have said the opposite of brash is being polite. Then it would be my definition and not yours. So it's really important that you come up with words that resonate for you, that are who you are at the core. Because it's absolutely essential to any relationship you have in business. For your joint ventures, we've talked about the hiring and firing. Conflict resolution. If in doubt, get your values out. In our mastermind group, we've actually now formed what are not only our individual values, but the values of the mastermind group. Now we get on pretty well, and there's Derry, Richard, and Andy in the room here. But if something goes wrong further down the line, or we have a disagreement, we can just go back to the values and say, okay, where is this in line with these values? Is it or isn't it? And that's how we resolve it. And also being so super sure of who you are and what your business stands for means you can actually have healthy conflict. You can challenge. Don't compromise who you are and what your business is. And it allows you to set your goals so much better. We've heard Richard give a very, very inspiring talk about his vision. You've got your vision, you've got your goals, that you want to do to achieve it. And you absolutely need that I can do attitude. Your mindset, your belief is absolutely important to achieving that goal. But if you have not got the values underneath at the foundation, it won't happen. And if that goal does not fit with your values, I look back over my career now, and I look at the points where I wasn't so happy and had that feeling inside of frustration or restlessness, and I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was that was bothering me. Any of you ever had that feeling? I'll guarantee you that was a values misalignment. So you can check in with yourself. And what is great when you're living by your values, it helps you make decisions. It helps you make massive decisions. After I engineered my redundancy as a global training manager, at this great role that everybody thought from the outside was, can't believe she's doing that. It looks like it's a great job. It's in the city. She's traveling the world. I left. And it was still scary. I remember after leaving on the Friday, waking up on the Monday morning, I lived in Canary Wharf, and I just saw bankers outside my window going to work. And I haven't got a job. What do I do? A few weeks later, I got asked to go on an exploratory visit to Dubai with the college that I'd done my professional qualifications with. And they were looking at trip. I said, yeah, of course I will. Long story short, I ended up being in a joint venture with them to actually set up the coaching college in Dubai. And I first ran and I thought, what do I do? I went to this company, I went out there on my own, set up a new life, new business, possibly slightly crazy, but I checked in, does this meet my values? And it did. So the first thing I did was I ran an open evening. 2 people came, 2 people. The other one was taking the photo. Show up and begin, because that lady was a TV producer. Beautiful lady, Fadwa. You never know who is in a room. If something is in line with your values, however scary it may be, go for it. Just absolutely go for it. I have moved countries twice based on this. And people around me go, do you know what you're doing? I'm going, yeah, of course I do. No, but it's in line with my values. It will work. The next month, I gained momentum. 15 people in the room. Over the following 18 months, I went on to train over 70 professional coaches in the Middle East. And when I arrived in Dubai, early 2005, there were only 3 qualified coaches. So I had a vision. I wanted to help change the way that Dubai worked. Because the Middle East was a very command, control, tell-do culture. And I wanted to bring coaching to that. So all great, all going brilliantly, and then kaput. The company I was in the joint venture with, who were paying me a nice retainer for the first couple of years, went into liquidation. I had people partway through coaching qualifications. I just moved into a flat. Now, when you buy a flat in Dubai, you pay a year's rent in advance. I had a sofa and I had a bed. So I thought, oh, poop, or words to that effect, what do I do? Better go out and live these values. So I went on radio stations, I went on TV, I thought I've got to get this message out. So I just put myself out of my comfort zone and got myself noticed, facilitated a HR breakfast forum, and went on to grow my business out there for the next 4 years. I moved back to the UK 3 years ago on a massive intuition. That's a story for another day. But through all these crazy steps that I've taken and leaps of faith, sometimes we want that extra bit of comfort and to just know it's going to work. So check in with your values. It is really important to your business. And as I now grow my speaking and coaching business based in the UK, I still get to travel. Every time something comes up, I check in with my values. And last year, I was asked to go out and speak in Iran. And I hesitated for about a millisecond. And I knew it was a yes, but I checked in. Now, if I listened to the hearsay, you're a woman, you can't go out to Iran. There were actually warnings on the government website, not really severe, but saying to exercise caution. There's a few of us I know that have spoken out in Iran, and we have a fantastic host out there. And it was to speak at a banking conference. So to speak to 800 senior bankers about values-driven banking. Now, there's a thing. They wanted to listen to that in Iran. And my thanks go to Philip Sutton at the back of the room, who helped me with that talk because he is a rarity. He is a values-driven banker with tattoos, no doubt. I didn't know that. So, do you want to do a quick test to know if you're values-driven? Turn to the person next to you and look straight into their eyes. It's not a long thing, just look at their eyes, just look at their eyes. Okay, it was just to look into their eyes. We're running out of time. Did they have shining eyes? If they have shining eyes and a smile on their face, that is a clue to being values-driven. Because when you live and act in line with your values, extraordinary things are possible. The rewards are immense. And not only will your business be successful, profitable, and sustainable for oh so many years to come, you're actually going to enjoy the process. And the personal fulfillment you get from that is priceless. Thank you very much. Thank you.